Hello, wonderful world. It's Jennifer here at Eureka Astrology and Healing. And today we're going to be talking about the Pisces new moon astrological forecast. This new moon is going to occur on March 10th, 2024 at 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. Adjust your time to your time zone accordingly if you're going to be doing anything with a new moon ritual, if you want to be exact. But you don't have to be if you don't want to be. With that, just remember this is a broad forecast. This is not for very specific details. It's about the energies at large and the energies at play within the day, the days around it. And if you'd like to know how this is going to affect, so say where the planets are at this time, affect your chart, you can always schedule a reading with me at eurekastrategyandhealing.com. And I do several different forecasts, and check out my website if you're interested. With that, let's talk about the notables. And the notables too are, again, just talking about the energies before or after, because I don't do readings very often via YouTube. I want to try and give energies that may have played before or after, things I just noticed, because I feel like that's often what we feel collectively in, the astrological, like weather and the feel, right? Like if it rains, everybody in that area gets wet, kind of like that. But it might rain harder on somebody else than the other. That's kind of a good metaphor for that. So one of the first notables is that, and I don't know if you've been feeling it, all the planets are still direct. And in astrology, direct planets have a forward motion, like let's get things done, like a train moving forward. And that's neither good nor bad. People will often, you can hear in the astrological world go, oh, Mercury's retrograde or Jupiter's retrograde. This is a good time to do this, that, or the other, or it's not positive. Well, neither can be true, or neither are true or false necessarily. It depends on how you respond and work with the energies around you. That's how I feel astrology goes. And with all the planets direct, it really helps you get things done. But what I've noticed, and why I said I don't know if anyone's feeling this, is that things feel like they're speeding up. The planets, when they can pick up speed, so to speak, in the sky, I feel like there is a lot of momentum going on right now and moving forward. And that can be in different areas of your life, depending on your chart and where the planets are falling in your chart. But it's getting a little exhausting for me. I'm not going to lie. I've not been able to do my videos twice a month as I'd like. And it's not bad. All the things that are happening are good. See, like these are positive things, but I feel like I'm doing a little too much. And I feel that the direct planets really kind of personify that. Like I know when a lot of the planets were retrograde, things were a little bit slower for me. I had a little more time to think and reflect and get things, planned. And now it feels like it's just like all speed ahead. And of course that will change. Mercury will be going retrograde soon. And eventually they'll all start to peel back and there'll be a whole bunch of retrogrades again later in the year. But for right now, there's a lot of momentum. So it is a good time in general, maybe not in the new moon. We'll talk about that later, and getting things done and just going forward. But the main point here is to take a break and take care of yourself. I think this is really important to take note. Just because things are happening doesn't mean you have to do everything. All those opportunities, right? Like what if I miss something? Because over time you can get burned out, and there's going to be all direct planets for a little while here. So pace yourself in this, not race, but this kind of a marathon that's happening. The next notable is that Mercury entered into Aries yesterday, or March 9th. And that's changing the flavor quite a bit there for Mercury. Mercury isn't at home in Pisces, so that's where it had been previously. It got a chance to dream, but it didn't know how to maybe clearly communicate, directly communicate, to get to point A to point B exactly. Pisces likes to wander. Pisces likes to get distracted. Pisces just likes to stop and start daydreaming. When Mercury's in there, that's what's going to be happening. And that's what kind of was happening. So even though we've had this forward momentum, I feel like we've been getting, I don't want to say distracted. And it's not necessarily bad. Great time for poetry, art, dancing, all those things, kind of channeling the artist, but not in a very clear and direct way. Like, I'll make you a painting, but I can't speak it, right? Which some people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about when you're trying to communicate that way. Now that it's shifting into Aries, that's a whole other ball game. It is direct. It is almost too direct. That's the beautiful part about Aries, is it gets from point A to point B as quickly as possible. It is not wasting time. It does not want to wander. It is efficient. It is direct. It could also be mindful sharp words, right? Aries likes a little bit of a fight, so a lot of arguments could be happening as Mercury moves through Aries, and when it goes retrograde, people may be rethinking some of those conversations. But a positive way to work with this is thinking about Mercury. Besides communication, it's also thinking, perceiving. Maybe you can figure out, are you actually being more combative in your life than you need to be? Like, try to perceive that. Or where do you need to find courage, verbal courage, the way you communicate? These are good times to work with that. So there can be a positive energy to it. And if you want to get down to the point, channel this energy. March 11th, so the day after this new moon, we're going to have Venus moving into Pisces. Now, Venus was in Aquarius. It's kind of a little bit different story. Venus it doesn't hate Aquarius, but it's cold. It's not emotional. It's logical. It's about friends though, but moving into Pisces is a whole other ball game. It's like, yes, it's all about pleasure and enjoying, like love to love is kind of the word I think of, because like Venus's desire and Pisces is just like this open vessel of love to the universe, right? And so there's this deep sense of like universal love, and this will amplify the finding pleasure in creating and dancing, being very mystical as well too. People may desire exploring their intuitive side. So it's definitely one of the, I don't want to say lazier places. If Venus can stop and sit down, it will. And in Pisces, like, yeah, take a sit in my comfortable couch and let's, just either, gently create something or daydream. Once again, the daydreaming is kind of coming back in, and, or watch a fantasy, right? Or read a fantasy book, just kind of getting lost. And that's going to be something that's going to tie into the overall theme, is like, be careful not to get lost in the fantasy. We'll get back to that. And the last notable I have is there's a lot of water, and this is attributed to the Pisces. So we'll have, Venus will come in the next day, but at the time of this new moon, Saturn is in Pisces. The sun and the moon, of course, because the new moon is, their sun and the moon are together, conjunct. And then you've got Neptune. And so Neptune is already, it is, the modern ruler of Pisces. So this is amping up that dream and that vision. And then the sun and the moon are like, I desire this, I feel this, or I shouldn't say desire. I'm shining a light on it, it makes me feel good. And the moon is like, I'm feeling this. And then Saturn is kind of nice to have there. It's bringing some sobriety into the situation, because those three other planets, they're kind of all in, like, let's just jump to the bottom of the sea. Let's go out far into outer space, into the cosmic. Even though Aquarius rules a little bit of the cosmic, it's like way, way out. And it can be a very pleasurable time. But what I'm thinking is that this is going to be a lot of feeling. And even though this is a new moon, the moon's not all amped up, with so much water and having it relatively close to Neptune, there's going to be some really deep feelings. And I think people are going to be feeling the world at this time. And it doesn't have to be just humans. It can be the actual planet, the animals. People could be feeling, I don't know, galaxies away. There's a really strong this is very strong intuitive moon. And so it is a great time if you are someone who likes to do new moon rituals, where you can safely, intuit on the energies and allow the dream to come through, as long as you are grounded. But I could see it being overwhelming for some people. I know a lot of Pisces or Pisces moons that if they keep those floodgates all the way open, it is overwhelming, because not only is there lots of love and beauty in this world, there is unfortunately also a lot of pain and suffering. And I don't even know about the cosmos. I've not tapped into that energy, and I don't need to tap into the emotional energy of the cosmos right now. So try not to let the floodgates open so hard that you get leveled by the water coming out, right? Like maybe like a nice bath, or, a nice stream or creek. Try to make sure you're staying grounded in some way, because I feel like I didn't do the Virgo full moon video, but I just wanted to make note that I noticed a lot of sirens and ambulances 2 days before, during, and after. Lots of emergencies, a lot of emotional unrest and upset. People were just getting kind of on each other's nerves. People's health was kind of waning. A lot of Virgo themes. And I think the emotional stuff may have had to deal with maybe a little bit of anxiety, maybe a little bit of perfection, and want for isolation. And so I feel like these are kind of tying back to back. Like there's a lot of emotion there, and this is going to be kind of a new flavor, of course, because the moon is going to be in Pisces, but hopefully you can stay grounded and work through those energies positively. And this moon is the Dreamer's Moon from Raymond Caldera's Moon Phase Astrology book. And I don't need to go too deep into the metaphors. It's pretty apparent. The dreamer, the mystic, sometimes the martyr, but this is fresh and young. Remember, every time there's a new moon, it's a young energy. And so this dreamer can get, as I talked about, lost really easy. It's pushing the boundaries. It's trying to figure out what reality is and what isn't, and kind of going in and out of reality to feel things and figure things out in and out of fantasy. Sometimes staying too long in the fantasy, and then people getting frustrated. Those who are grounded more like, what is this person doing? I cannot handle your wishy-washiness. So again, at this time, enjoy this chart. It's really, beautiful and harmonious in so many ways, but, be mindful that don't spend too much time outside of reality. And what's nice is that Saturn is in Pisces. So that definitely brings, so crystallization, well, I shouldn't say crystallization, it could be crystallization or firming up or a sobering sense of like, yes, I see the dream and I want to make it happen. On the other end, what I've noticed with the energies kind of building is that people are like, I want to play. There's too much responsibility. This is getting too hard. This is too much. I don't want to do this anymore. And almost like all this Pisces energy is rebelling against Saturn being there. It's like, quit telling me I have to be responsible. I don't have to be responsible. And now, is that true or not? I don't know. But I feel like there is a little bit of that tension going on. And hopefully we can try and channel it and go, okay, this is the opportunity to create the dream, and don't resist it like a kid throwing a tantrum, because all of a sudden you realize you have to do some work maybe for it. What else I hear? And like I said, there's a lot of harmony in here, and there's a lot of also Earth. So Jupiter and Uranus are making sextiles. So Uranus sextile to the sun and the moon, and then Jupiter, those are in Taurus, and then making a sextile to Saturn. So there's this energy of harmonious earth and water. And it does create things fertile, but again, it makes mushy ground. So that theme again of not having a lot of stability necessarily at the time. Things will grow, things will firm up, but it's a little wishy-washy. And so one of the important things about this moon is that it's the good time to dream. Maybe not so good to take action if you don't have to. Obviously, if you have to, do it. But be mindful of that. And what else did I want to say about this too? I have all my notes here. Is that those are the more harmonious things, and I can see, oh yeah, how with those harmonious aspects. Well, what does that mean? Like, how are you using your resources? Like the Uranus is saying, find a new way to bring your dream in with these new ways of resources. Maybe things that you would not expect. Maybe you'll get unexpected income. Maybe you'll have to shift your job, but it'll bring in a way for you to bring in more resources for yourself. There's a lot of possibilities, and it could be positive spin-offing, like, how can this help the world? Like, I'm going to do this differently, and this is going to impact the environment well, but also this is something I created this, you had a dream about a new piece of technology or a device that could help the world. Like, there's so many possible positive applications to this. And so kind of go with it and play with like what your vision of resources is, and like how you perceive them, and how can it be done differently, and channel that into the dream of whatever that is coming to you. Now, there is a very strong, I call it a dynamic aspect to be noteful of, and that is that just like the day before, Mars squares Uranus. Mars is in Aquarius, Uranus is in Taurus. And it doesn't have to be harsh. This is a square, and some people will consider squares downright hard. And this one particularly, because these are two planets that have strong energies of movement and shift. And Uranus, I was trying to find a liken. It's like, it's like an explosion. It's where there's two big energies that can no longer exist side by side, and something's got to give. Whether it's a breaking of something, an explosion of something, something's going to give. And it's like something has to change. Like two people fighting because they no longer can take each other's energy. Something to that degree. And Mars is to sever, to cut, to puncture. It's I'm done. That's it, and I'm going to take care of it. And so they're two kind of quick acting planets. Now the pressure, of course, builds. So Uranus is sometimes slow and then quick. But Mars can set it off when there's this kind of aspect going on. And I see this, and we were talking about the globe. Mars is an Aquarius, and it's like, hey, like, guess what? We need to take care of each other. The Earth, human, I don't want to say humanitarian kind of causes, but like the humanism, what's going on this globe, and how can we take care of each other on a global level? Like, it's time, and that could be protest. We could also be people finding new ways to do that, bringing up new ways of doing it and taking action. Like we're doing this. Mars is not sitting around, especially in Aquarius, and it's going to be thinking about things. And Uranus in Taurus is a little bit like resources getting challenged. I would say, like, all right, this has to change because that's not working over there either. And so what's happening? I don't know exactly what's going to come about this, but I do see this a little bit as like somewhat of civil unrest, because like maybe, it's clear, obviously, that we are not using our resources well for humans, and something has to change. Like, that's kind of just a bare bones basic there. And there's also, like, if you do weather astrology, there's probably some strong implications for this aspect as well. But what I wanted to take note of, so whatever happens for you, kind of take note. It might not be that big, but there's going to be a demand for a change within where those two planets are in your chart. And again, that's Taurus and Aquarius. What I'm thinking as I looked forward is Jupiter is going to cross that threshold of Uranus finally on April 20th. Now, Uranus has been kind of leading the train of planets for months now, except for the moon, which goes around and around the chart. And it's been bringing that change, but Jupiter, when it crosses over on April 20th and like the days before, is going to trigger it roughly again. And I think that there might be some changes, and it could be before that even, because I actually didn't look at the exact degree date when Jupiter hits that. But I feel strongly, I'm just looking at my chart here, so it is, April 8th, so it's going to be a little bit earlier than that, around that time, where we might have an expansion of whatever happened at this new moon or right around it, where there's a lot of change and dynamic shifts, because Jupiter brings expansion. So be mindful, like, this change could be very positive for your life. It could seem challenging, but Uranus usually brings change that's necessary. So it may seem not pleasant or good at the time, but something very good may come down the line, and you just don't know it yet. So try to be compassionate to yourself. With that, this chart is dreamy and dynamic. And so I want to say be open, but please remain grounded. I think this has got a lot of great possibilities for all kinds of things. With that, I'm Jennifer at Eureka Astrology Healing. May the stars guide you and the plants ground you. Ciao for now.